Heather, A through Z.
How about T?
T, 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 T. I've got nothing. Did you have something for T?
No, I was just thinking of a letter we haven't done lately.
I mean, so last week, Jastin said S, and I actually think he was meaning for me to talk about something other than I did. Because I think, didn't I talk about space? What did I talk about when you said S last time?
I think it was space. Yeah, and the celebs and all of that.
Oh, yes, the outer space stuff.
Orbit.
I mean, there's a lot of drama around one Shannon Sharp. You know, there's some allegations. There's some lawsuits. There's some attempted settlements and some rejected settlements. There was all kinds of stuff with that. One thing I wanted to talk about with that very specifically, though, is one common thread I've seen when it comes to the Shannon Sharp case is a lot of people will bring up the fact that this young lady was an OnlyFans model and that she had texted him and had consensually engaged in apparently BDSM sexual sex play and whatnot with him. And because of that, people go, well, then how can she be abused and or sexually assaulted? Because, you know, you can consent times and you could not consent at times. And just because you consented at times does not mean you consent every time. Real quick, real easy. That's why those things are not correlating to anything. There's apparently a text message she sent that was like, I want you to put a dog collar and walk me with a leash. Okay, cool. And then if he did that to her when she did not want that, bad. I don't understand why people are confused by this.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling.
It's real easy to understand.
Yeah,
there's a difference.
So easy.
You know, there's a difference. Like, yeah, she likes BDSM. Okay, that doesn't mean she likes to be beaten in an aggressive manner when she, like, in a non-sex or sexual way when she doesn't want it. Like, that doesn't mean anything. I feel like this case is becoming like a 2004 episode of Law & Order SVU, where they have to be like, guys, just because she's a prostitute doesn't mean she can't be raped. It's that again. And I'm not trying to say that this woman's a prostitute or anything like that. I'm just saying it's the same logic we had SVU episodes about 20 years ago. And they're like, see, that proves that he didn't do anything wrong. No, it doesn't. And I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying that's not evidence he did not do anything. That's wild.
Yeah, like it's just the whole situation is just kind of rough, and it's hard to talk about all of it or kind of really judge it without all the details. This is kind of one of those where it's so messy that you kind of just want to see what the aftermath is once all the smoke clears. So, but I couldn't help but look at the age gap and go, oh my gosh. And it just feels like another example of like this high status person going out with these super young people and shit just going awry. And I mean, how many people do this? Like, it's just,
why is this story becoming essentially like retaking the Beauty and the Beast classic song, A Tale as Old as Time, and making it about this?
Yeah.
Because this is a story that plays out all the time. And it's just, but why? Like, I don't think people understand at all how powerful those types of dynamics can be on especially a young person. I mean, think about all the things you used to think were like fact or whatever just because you were a kid and somebody older and you told you that. And I'm not trying to say this woman's a kid or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, even people, like, when you're fucking 7 and a 12-year-old tells you something, you automatically almost believe it. Just because, like, the younger you are, the more influential people are that can have on your life. And even when you're on the upper side of that, when you're a young adult, not technically a teenager, but, just getting in your early 20s and all this other stuff, you're still very influential. I mean, fuck, people never stop really being influential or influenced. How many 65-year-old people do you know that believe every single thing that's ever been posted on Facebook ever? And why? It's because of dynamics. A lot of these people are influenced by high level or people that they consider high level or people they consider influential. Shannon Sharp, ex-NFL player, podcast on ESPN, on Fox Sports, on all of these platforms, on all this stuff, getting a new deal, all this other stuff. And also, the deal has nothing to do with this, people. Why? This lawsuit was filed before the deal. So also, quit saying that. Does it matter if it was filed after? No, it doesn't. But a lot of people are saying, oh, he gets $100 million deal, then she sues. No. That was started well before this. So stop it. But it's just mind-boggling that these things keep happening and all this other stuff. And it really just shows that no matter what, no matter how open things have become and all this other stuff, when people are in power, they tend to just think the rules don't apply to them in any way, shape, or form. And the sad thing is people also still think that about them.
Yeah.
Other people still think that too. And to be perfectly honest, like, this is, like you said, Jastin, we are just getting bombarded with information on this one. Not saying facts, we're bombarded with information. On Tuesday the 7th, she texted this, but on August 8th, he texted that. And information overload on this. And it is messy. And if he is innocent of these allegations, I hope that is proven. If he is guilty of these allegations, I also hope that is proven. What I hope is the truth comes out, which, like in most instances, is probably somewhere in the middle. I mean, that's pretty much essentially what ended up happening at the end of the Jonathan Major stuff. It was a little of what she said and a little of what he said. But this is just, it's the discourse we're having once again about the victim is just still mind-boggling. And it really goes back to show that even as much as times change and as much as people's mentalities about things change, they also don't. You can't tell me that aspects of this don't reek of the same tabloid bullshit that was being said about Monica Lewinsky back in the 90s. Do you remember how in vogue it was to just make jokes about Monica Lewinsky? This insanely young woman that was an intern to the fucking most powerful person on the fucking planet. And people were like, haha, look what she did.
And the best they could come up with was that, like, defining her as well as like what she looked like defining. And you're like, really, guys? This is where we're at in the world? And this was years ago, but it still feels like that's very similar to now,
And it was absurd then. And, I'm sad to say, I fell victim to that. I made Monica Lewinsky jokes, and I didn't even really know what the fuck was going on. But why? I had family members making Monica Lewinsky jokes. I had Jay Leno making Monica Lewinsky jokes. SNL was making Monica Lewinsky jokes. Bob and Tom in the Morning were making Monica Lewinsky jokes. And I'm like fucking 11, 12 years old. I don't fucking know anything. All I know now is I look back on it and I go, oh my God, we are a fucking terrible society. And also, can just Bill Clinton go away? Because like, it's gross. I 100%, I look at it now and I'm like, you probably should have been in jail. That's all I see now. And it's sad too, because when I've talked to older members of my family that are of a different political agenda, when they bring up Bill Clinton, they'll bring that up. But they're just like, see, but he did that. He cheated on his wife while president. Bad. I'm like, of the list of monumentally bad things he did with that exact situation you're talking about, cheating on his wife ends up kind of being the least bad. Not saying cheating on your spouse is good. I'm just saying when you get into the sexual assault, sexual harassment, power dynamics, all these other monumentally bad things he did whilst doing this, that's actually kind of the least of my concerns. There's monumentally worse things I think he did. But this just reeks of the same thing. And I'm like, as much as things change, fuck, they stay the same. It's bonkers. Yeah, is that what you wanted me to bring up last week when you said S, Jastin?
Yep, your boy Shannon Sharp.
Went right over my head. Do you know what I realized that? The next morning. I was like, oh, fuck, he probably wanted me to say Shannon Sharp. My bad. I really don't plan out a lot of our news segments, guys, if you can't tell.
Well, and you never answered when I had texted that in our chat. Have you heard about Shannon Sharp? You never answered it. So when you didn't bring it up, I was like, okay, maybe he hadn't had a chance to look it up yet, or maybe he missed that text. I said, I got zero response from you. So I had no idea you even knew about it.
I went into a deep dive, dude.
Oh, okay.
A deep dive. There's so much more things I can bring up right now, but it's like, is it adding to the mess or is it not? You know what I mean? I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. The one thing that was very clear that I wanted to talk about was the shit they're saying about this young woman. Like, regardless of anything, I'm like, just fuck off, people. Why are we doing this again? Like, do you remember when they wrote that book that was practically the same thing called The Scarlet Letter? Wasn't that like 100 fucking years ago or some shit? I know it's about like way back in the day, but the book's like at least 100 years old, right? I'm not looking it up. I don't care. But I'm just saying, isn't that the same story? Like, don't blame the victim. Like, you don't know. Isn't that what that story was about? I haven't read it in forever. The closest I've gotten to anything Scarlet Letter related anytime recent is Easy A, which is the modern adaptation of Scarlet Letter.
Same.
But it really is. It's a tale as old as time.
Yeah, a sad one.
Ugh, disgusting. You remember when everybody was like, oh, they're just trying to trash this person. And then it turns out that person was Harvey Weinstein and he's been found guilty of it. Remember that? It wasn't that long ago. It happens. It happens. Do you want to get into less depressing news?
Yeah.
I have the biggest flops of 2024 for you guys. 100% broken down.
Okay.
Number 5. That would be our big boy, our main man, the side piece to this podcast, Craven.
Okay.
Lost
That does make sense.
Lost, really?
It was the 5th worst flop of last year. It lost between $71 and $91 million. Budget $110 million. Expenses are being reported as 90, but it's anywhere from 90 to 110, and it only made 120 at the box office. So yes, it lost roughly $71 to $91 million.
Man, that's quite shocking, considering that there were people that were in the film.
Yeah. But it's only number 5, Jastin. It gets worse. And then so now the 4th worst flop of last year. We have a movie I didn't see. And you guys might have. It is one of those movies I vowed to not watch. That would be Megalopolis. What are the fuck that movie's called?
Nope. Did not see it.
Nope. Did not.
Budget 120. They had the expenses as low as 26 million. I don't think that's true. So the expenses were anywhere from 26 to 120 million dollars. Its box office was an astounding 70. So it lost anywhere from $75 million to roughly, possibly, $170 million. So,
yikes.
But its official number right now is 75, so we're sticking with that. Number 3 on our list was another favorite of the podcast, which would be Borderlands.
I was going to guess that was on there.
With a budget of $120 million and expenses reported as low as 64, but could be as high as about 120. It had a box office of $104 million, which means it lost anywhere from 140 to $80 million. But we're going with 80 because that's the number officially reported. Number 2 will make both of you sad. Number 2, unfortunately, was a favorite of the podcast, Furiosa. With a budget of $168 million, with expenses of roughly $165 to $168 million, it had a box office of $211 million, which means it lost about $120 million.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, that's because it was also a partial COVID production. So all the COVID stuff added a lot of costs back then, and that's why. Now, for number 1, the obvious. Joker Folie à Deux. With a budget of $200 million, expenses ranging from $170 to $200 million, and a box office of wildly $227 million. But it's still, that means it lost anywhere from $144 to $175 million.
Rough.
I can't think of a better movie for that to happen to.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, I have a reason why I'm bringing all this up, guys. Because, guys, Sinners did it. It broke those wild expectations that Variety magazine said were so far away. Merely less than 2 weeks ago, the so distant break-even point for Sinners. As of today, May 1st, box office returns so far for Sinners are roughly $181 million worldwide, which puts it at 2 times its budget, which is the universally accepted break-even point for movies. And it is now, as of less than 2 weeks since it released, profited $1 million.
I love it. I'm still so annoyed that they said that. That was the absolute worst take I've heard all year. It was so dumb.
That was tight. I'm happy for it. When I found out last week that it was number one a second week in a row, I was like, oh man. And see, it just shows, see the power of a good movie, see the power of word of mouth. And it's all over my timeline. People just can't stop talking about it
Yeah.
or certain characters or
I mean, even like celebrities and actors like that aren't even involved in the movie. I've seen so many of them be like, go watch this movie now because it's so good.
yeah. It's great to see it getting so much success. And
It makes me
like,
happy. Yeah.
I'm happy for them.
And on top of that, too, I just love how less than 2 weeks ago, it was oh so far away. Didn't even, not even 2 full weeks. Profit. Crazy. Awesome. Yeah, and especially because of this weekend. It's going to lose. It's not going to be number one this weekend. Unfortunately, it is going up against the juggernaut that is the MCU. But doesn't matter. I still feel like Sinners is going to be number two, where it should be. I have a distinct feeling that it might. I don't think it's going to overtake Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts has too much word of mouth going for it too. But I mean, next weekend is a little bit of a weaker release weekend. There's a chance that it might climb back up into number one again.
Or at the very least, it's going to hang around.
Oh, yeah.
For a bit.
It's at least number two for the next 2 weekends.
Top 2 or 3 movies. It's going to hang around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mainly wanted to bring all that up just to say, suck it, Variety, you're dumb. Like, it's just what you get for just having one of the worst takes ever. Like, you could have just said you didn't like the movie, and that's infinitely more respectable and understandable than just having a dumb take that's just unnecessary. Anyway, congrats, Sinners. Congrats, Ryan Coogler. You knocked it out of the park. Oh, man.
I mean, imagining just how good that probably feels for him as a filmmaker to be like, everything I envisioned this being is what it was, but it's also something that other people saw. Like, other people saw my vision the way I wanted them to.
And on top of that, too, that man got himself first dollars. Ooh. He's making his cut of all 181 million this thing's made. Fuck yeah, bro.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Good on him, for real.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in 25 years, he gets the rights back. Ooh. I just feel like it's all wins right now for him, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
That man is our age.
So fuck
that
off.
Man is not even 40.
Why do you like bringing down the mood of everything, Heather? You're like, oh, you'll never experience that scene again. Oh, he's our age and what infinitely more. Thank you.
I'm just saying, like,
Debbie
that's
Downer.
No, that's actually saying, like, great job with your success, and you're not even 40 years old yet.
Mm-hmm. You know, Finn Wolfhard's also younger than you and way more successful. So there.
I mean, that's fair. That is fair.
Anyway, that's all I have for news today. You guys got anything? Is there anything else for news? Before our next little mini segment, anybody else? Any more news?
Not from me.
All right. Oh, hey, Cinefans. We're debuting a new mini segment, a miniature segment. Mini segment. It's called Since We Last Recorded. or just in general. I don't care. Hey, do you have anything to recommend or not recommend that we don't or haven't or won't review on the podcast? Jastin, we'll start with you.
All right, I'm gonna go with Max. So on Max, there's this series called Hollywood Demons, and I really like it. Really compelling, like documentary style episodes about celebrities, people associated with celebrities, things like that, things that stories that maybe you've heard about, but they go in depth and just kind of talk. Sometimes they talk to victims of these people. Sometimes they just talk to people who were around this individual. And basically, it's just these kind of Hollywood stories about these people, situations that kind of went wrong. I really liked the first episode on Stephen Collins. I knew a little bit about that, but man, that guy was
Gross.
a son of a bitch.
Yes.
Yeah, he was terrible. So finding out more about that story, I was like, wow, man, there was so much I didn't know about it. There's one on the Power Rangers, which I didn't realize all of that about the Power Rangers and the crazy contracts and like what some of these people and like sort of the lack of money they were being paid for how much money Power Rangers was making, and some of the stories about some of the people who were casted and how they parted ways with Power Rangers, what happened to some of them afterwards. So that one was a great one too. The one about the child stars is a good one too. And I haven't watched the one on the Von Erichs, but the episode is called The Real Iron Claw. So I'm like super excited to get into it. But yeah, I'll just end it there. But yeah, I highly recommend it. Every single episode I've seen has been compelling. They have interesting information. There are psychiatrists on there that talk about what could be happening to these people at the time and what's going on, and just tries to give you real. It's not just, well, these people did this and they're terrible. I like how it tries to give you several different perspectives, and it also gives you a perspective of the victims. I think it's really, really like unbiased reporting in that way. Kind of tries to show it to you from all sides. So I really like that series.
And sadly, dude, when it comes to the Power Rangers, there's a lot more they didn't touch.
Oh, really? There's more shit?
Yeah, like how they treated Billy Yost on the set of it. Because he was gay.
Oh.
And so many people ridiculed the fuck out of that man and bullied the shit out of him, dude.
Oh, wow.
But probably he didn't want to be on the episode, and that's why they didn't touch it. Because it's his story, and he is alive, and he's the victim of it. You know? So there's that aspect of it. I mean, so much so, I don't like Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew, there's a lot of issues I have with that man, including him talking about things and subjects that he is not one to, should not be talking about, advocating for really horrible health advice when it comes to things like V-Shred and all this other stuff. But I'll say this. He says a lot of truthful things in this show when he's like, yeah, this person's a monster for doing this. And you're like, yeah, good assessment, Dr. Drew. Like, said exactly what I was thinking. All right. Yeah. And that show kind of makes me mad because it makes me kind of like Dr. Drew because it feels like he says the right things. He's like, yeah, this person's an utterly deplorable person and just the scum of the universe. And you're like, yeah, I see that. Okay. Good assessment.
But also when he's talking about like in the Power Rangers one, when he's talking about the mindset of the guy who played Tommy, and just like the way that he would say it. And he's just like, honestly, sometimes it's like, you can't get rid of some of these demons you have with this depression and things like that. Like the way that he would word things when he's also talking like a little bit more empathetically about some of the victims, I appreciate it too. Yeah, I agree. I've seen those 3 episodes as well, and it's really good. Yeah.
And even on top of that, just him simply saying sometimes, hey, I never talked to this person. This isn't a diagnosis. This is just my feeling. Good. That is a good disclaimer that Dr. Drew hasn't always given in the past. Hence some of my issues with that man. But at least in this, he's like, look, I can't say for certain. This is just my impression. Valid. I can accept that. And also, anytime this man does talk about addiction, though, he is one of the leading experts in psychological addiction therapy and stuff like that. That's his specialty. And a lot of people think it's fucking because of Loveline back in the day and shit. No, this man is an addiction therapist.
Which shows in this, why he is. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So when he's talking about addiction, very credible. So I'll give him also that. But I just like the fact that he'll give some of those disclaimers, and sometimes he's just like, with this story and stuff like this person is just the worst monster to ever watch, and you're like, yes. Assessment, yes. But there are just times he says the most reasonable things about how terrible somebody is, and I'm like, get out of my brain, Dr. Drew. Get out of my brain. It makes me mad because I don't like him. But in this, it's fantastic. It really is. The way they use him in the show is very good. I wish he did more like this and less of the other bullshit he does.
Yeah.
Heather, what about you? You got anything?
Yeah, I recently saw on Apple TV The Gorge, which is that Anya Taylor-Joy, Miles Teller, I guess action fantasy movie, I guess I would call it. And you know what? I liked it better than I expected to. They have parts of it where it's just kind of like them trying to make a love connection while they can't really contact each other directly or communicate directly. And then there's also the sci-fi elements of it that come in later on. And it's a pretty good film. I like the love story aspect of it better, just because I think it was cute and fun to see how they were trying to communicate and connect with this barrier between them. But it was pretty good. I actually liked it a lot more than I expected to. Yeah, I think if you're looking for just a fun, fantasy, or sci-fi love story type of movie, it's pretty good. So yeah, I actually would say if you're just looking for, I don't think it's a must watch, but I don't think it's a bad watch. So I guess I would recommend it. Yeah.
Have you seen that, Jastin?
I have not. Did not know it existed. So
I've seen it, and I wish I was you, Jastin. I disagree with Heather. I think it's shit. Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy are fine together. They're fine. I think the movie is shit. I think it's dumb. Real dumb.
I just wish they would have done only the love story part of it, and I would have liked it more.
I don't know if I don't think I would have hated that. When it divulged into my realm of sci-fi fantasy, garbage.
That's fair.
Utter garbage. But that's not what I was going to talk about. I'm going to talk about a Netflix movie. Havoc. It's got your boys Timothy Olyphant. It's got your boy Tom Hardy. It's got your boy, I don't know, someone else. Other people are in this movie. Oh, Luis Guzman. Forrest Whitaker. And some other people. It's an action-packed cast. It's by the same director that directed The Raid and The Raid 2. And it really sucks. It's like the opposite of The Raid. It truly is bad.
Oh, no.
There's a car chase at the beginning of the movie that looks like it was made for a fucking PS4 cutscene. 9 times out of 10, when somebody's driving a car in this movie, it looks like a PS4 cutscene. And I don't mean that in a good way. I don't mean that when it was peak PlayStation 4 and you're like, man, graphics are crazy. No. I mean that as in if you were going back right now to play a PS4 game after just playing a PS5 nonstop for 2 years and going, oh, PS4. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. The dialogue's bad. The story's bad. The action is not what it should be from this guy. Guy directed the fucking Raid. One of the best action movies ever. Followed it up with the Raid 2, which is not as good as the Raid, but still very, 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 very good. And then he directed this. Bad. So bad. So bad. It is the worst parts of every dirty cop turned good cop movie that we got in the fucking 90s and 2000s. It's horrendous. You know what I watched to cleanse my palate of this movie? An actual good action movie, Dread. Ooh. Cleansed me so good. But no, I don't recommend Havoc. It's shit. I do agree with you, Jastin. Hollywood Demons. Watch it. Great show. I'm also looking forward to the Von Erichs. Hopefully we get some justice for our main man, Chris, man.
Yeah. I'm thinking Chris will be in this one.
Justice for Chris.
Him to go into all the brothers.
Dude,
not skip over.
If Chris isn't in this, oh my God, I'm going to explode.
And especially with the title of it being called The Real Iron Claw, I wonder, is it going to be critical of the film? You know, because
so.
That seemed like direct, doesn't it? Doesn't that seem kind of direct, like The Real Iron Claw? It almost feels like a dig at the film.
Good. At least in that regard.
I don't know.
That was like what they left off, like what they left out of the movie is my biggest complaint about Iron Claw.
You know? I mean, I thought it was a great movie. If you would have added in the Chris, then it would have been probably, I mean, I probably would have considered it even a better movie because you're getting all of them, you know? And it's weird to say that because it's a very depressing film, but like it was well acted, really well done and put together. Like give it another, 15, 20 minutes to talk about one more brother.
Yeah, I get that. It was a good film, just as far as the mechanics of filmmaking. It had everything that you need to be a good film, but I just wonder if maybe something will be said about it, or maybe we'll get some thoughts on it, because I just that title felt very direct. The Real Iron Claw. The only thing they could possibly be referencing there is the film. That's it. There's the only reason why you would name the episode that way. So yeah, I just feel like
otherwise it'd be The Real Von Erichs probably or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially like when it comes to movies like that, your movie is built as a tragedy. Why get rid of some of the tragedy? I'm not saying it's not tragic. I'm just saying if your movie's a tragedy, give us the tragedy. All of it. Rip people's souls
And the whole
out.
comment about it is, well, it's just too similar to the other brother. Sounds inhumane.
Yes.
I mean, that just...
He was a whole other person.
Yeah, he was another person, dude.
Doesn't and to me that leans into the tragedy of it all. You had multiple brothers kill themselves by shooting themselves.
Yeah, literally 3 brothers that died by suicide. Like 3 of them. And like, sure, even if it is similar, like I know they're talking about like, oh, for the sake of the story and the movie, like actually just be like, no, look at this similar pattern and way that this family decided to handle what was going on. Like it would have added to it and not taken away.
And I also hope they bring up that Papa Von Erich sold tickets to his son's fucking funeral and also sold postcards of his fucking dead body.
Yeah.
Because he's a scumbag. Yeah.
He's the demon.
Memorial pictures, Jastin. It's scumbag, dude. Scumbag.
Jeez.
Yeah. I hope they get into all that. Dude, I watched the Dark Side of the Ring, the Vader one. Oh man. I feel like
I need to get on that.
I feel like I end up saying that constantly about Dark Side of the Ring. Like, oh man, the story of that. Like, I didn't know the full story with Jake the Snake Roberts and his family. Oh my God. That is just one of the most gut-wrenching episodes you can watch.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Bad.
Oh man. Anyway. You guys want to talk about this movie so we're not just talking about other shit until dawn? Yeah, see what I did there?
That was really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when they did that in this movie? Oh, we got to survive, guys, until dawn.
Sure do.
This fucking movie.
The title. I didn't do that.
This fucking movie.
Somebody will listen to me.
Nobody knows anything but you.
All right. Are you ready?
Yep.
Come on.
Cinema Slayers.
Hey, Cinefans, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. I'm Sterling, and as always, I'm joined by Heather and Jastin. And tonight, we're going to talk about what we like, didn't like, and everything in between with the newest Sony PlayStation originals movie, Until Dawn. We will go spoiler-free recommendations and scores, and then into a more spoiler-centric section with time codes in the description to allow you to jump around if you so require. And with all that, Sterling, what you got? This movie, to me, guys, it felt like it tried to out Madam Web. It tried to go, hey, you remember 2003? We're going to be slightly more current than Madam Web, which was 2002. We're going to do a 2003 horror movie. How about that? Do you remember how amazing those were back in the day when they just did shit? Yeah. Yeah, that's what this movie was. This movie reminded me so much of a PG-13 2003 horror movie. I didn't realize this movie was rated R. I could have sworn this movie was PG-13 based on watching it. I was corrected and told this movie apparently says the word fuck. I don't remember it. And the violence was not so obscene to me that I was like, obviously this is rated R. This was a PG-13 movie. And this was bad. This is going back to the good old days of, hey guys, you remember when video game movies just used to kind of do some shit that might have been in one case or one aspect of a video game ever? Yeah. That's this. You know what I found out after this movie? The video game? Nothing like this whatsoever. Like, apparently the video game is kind of like a game called like Hard Rain or a LA Noire or something like that, where it's actually just more of an interactive narrative. So you get to take control of different characters, and as their parts of the stories progress, if they die, the ending changes, and that's it. There's no restarting lives. Do you know when you restart lives in the game? If you just restart the game. There's no infinite loop of things. There's no 13 deaths. None of that shit is apparently in the game.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. You remember in Minecraft when I said, if this is what your game's like, I would never want to play you? I found out what this game was because based on this movie, I would have never played that game. But then I found out what the game actually was, and I was like, that sounds interesting. It's almost like if it's a narrative video game, maybe you should have just given us the fucking narrative. Mind-boggling. But yes, most of the shit in this movie, none of that's in the game. It's like you've got 8 people, and you just go through the shit. And say 3 of you die. The ending's different based on the 3 that die. It changes like depending on who dies. But apparently the bad guy in this is also the bad guy in that, but apparently they're still wildly different. What was this movie then? Is this one of those things where somebody wrote a script once and they're like, we don't want to make that because it's not a named property, but we kind of like the script. Let's just make it a named property and call it a day. Remember when they used to do that for movies? That's what this was. In the worst possible way. Because none of this is good. And apparently the video game is. Apparently, if you are a fan of this video game, you are irate. And you know what? I want to join you. As somebody that has never played the video game and only seen the movie, I am irate too. Because your video game sounds kind of cool. I would have loved to see any of that instead of the shit we got. Jastin, what you got?
Yeah, this movie reminds me of a term that sometimes people will say in wrestling when we're referencing someone. And that term is, and then the bell rings. And what we mean when we talk about somebody like that is that, you got these people where they've got this great gimmick or they've got this great character. And that gets people in the door. They seem appealing. They got this great appearance about them. They have all of these outer features that seem compelling on the outset. The gimmick definitely is there. People can follow it. It's easy to understand. It's eye-catching. Whatever the gimmick is, they have that part of it. But then the bell rings and the individual has to wrestle. And when the wrestling is not as good or can't compensate for the gimmick, that wrestler sometimes is exposed as, well, then he's just a gimmick. He's just the Flash. He or she is all style and no substance. Once you get past the gimmick, there really isn't any much to watching this person perform. And to me, and I'm not really talking about anybody in particular. This is not a knock against someone on TV. I'm not secretly referencing someone. This is just something that commonly comes up in wrestling. But, if you stretch it out to other professions and stuff like that, you hear this kind of thing all the time and other things too. All bark and no bite. Well, he or she is attractive, but we went on a date and there was nothing of substance about this person whenever we got to talking. There are many examples that fit this, but that was just the one that came to mind with this film. And that's really what this film is. The gimmick this sort of Groundhog Day gimmick with horror on paper sounds like a good idea. Oh man, we've got these characters and we can go and we can see them die in all these horrible ways, and you can keep messing with all the whole horror genre, and you can keep surprising your audience, and you can keep doing these variable things because these characters are in a situation where they're dying and coming back. So it opens up for you to be able to do a lot creatively with it. The gimmick, I think, is a good gimmick. The problem is that the bell rung, and when this film tried to wrestle, it didn't know a wrist lock from a wrist watch, which is an old wrestling term for somebody who can't go. And this movie just couldn't go. The story is not good. Nothing lines up. Nothing does. And the difference between a good movie to a bad movie is a great movie is in most good movies, things line up. Nothing lines up in this movie. Nothing. The motivations and the allegories and what the characters are doing, the movie can't put all that together in any cohesive way. The explanations are almost non-existent to where it almost just felt like, why even try? Like, we're just not even going to try. We're not even going to touch that with the 10-foot pole. Some of the stuff that happens in it, it's just going to happen, and we're not going to explain it. And then, so you get all that's not great. And then you're like, okay, well, what about the characters? Are they compelling? Are they interesting? Is anything about them going to carry this movie to the end? And unfortunately, these characters are like Madam Web. They're kind of these paper thin, kind of 2 or 3 sentence, cliff note, sticky note kind of characters where nobody is doing anything beyond just the limited things that they told us this character is. And nobody really is anything beyond that. And I mean, I guess the main character has somewhat of an arc, but even then it's not well executed and it's just kind of weak. So ultimately, that's what you have. You have something that where the gimmick is probably going to get people in the door. The gimmick probably is going to get people curious about it. And the fact that it's based on a video game, which I'm surprised, Sterling, that you said none of this is like the game, because I thought for sure this whole time concept and rewinding and Groundhog Day, and I thought for sure that was game elements. And to find out it wasn't, I'm like, wow. So what even was this?
How is the main crux of your movie nothing in the game?
I mean, so then it just feels like we are doing something from the 2000s or early video game movies where the name is just is used to get you in the door. And again, that's what this is. It's just a gimmick.
Man,
but beyond that is nothing.
It's weird because it's like if you have the Mario Brothers movie and instead of going to the Mushroom Kingdom, they go to the Fungus Kingdom. And instead of being plumbers, they're pipe fitters. It's just like you're just changing shit for the sake of, for why?
Yeah.
For what? It's like, oh, they're not fighting King Koopa, they're fighting King Doopa. Why? Why are we changing this shit?
Yeah. And if your argument is, well, it can't be exactly like the game, we have to change it to make it more of a believable scenario. Well, if this is what you came up with, well, nothing about this believable. Nothing. Nothing. You didn't fix any potential issue there would have been with just doing the narrative from the game. You didn't fix it by doing it this way. So, yeah, I'm just scratching my head going, why did the film even have to be this way?
Yeah, because ultimately what they changed is honestly one of the worst things in this movie. Like, They made it worse by default.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate, because I think the premise could be good if this was just in the hands of more talented people who could utilize it better. But unfortunately, it's not. So that's it from me.
Heather, what you got?
I mean, I wouldn't say I liked this movie, but I don't think I disliked it as much as you guys did. But I guess it sounds like it's probably a good thing that I had zero knowledge of what this game was before watching it, because it sounds like I would have been like, what is going on here? What is this? My biggest problem with this film is just, it is literally one pace the entire time. Like, there's no tension building. There's nowhere to really go in the movie, in a sense, because it's very anticlimactic in a way, because it's just one speed the whole time. And it just kind of makes it to where by the time you're getting more towards the end, you're like, okay, cool, let's wrap this up now. We get it. And that's the unfortunate thing about how this movie is set up, because yeah, you get sort of you got to relive the same day and different things happen and all these things like that. But it's not different enough, or things don't change enough in the movie on the different days that happen for you to really be invested. And I think that's my biggest issue with this movie. I think the gore was fine. For me, I was fine. I think it was pretty decent gore.
Which is really funny because I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's fine for that. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm probably a different level of being able to judge that than you guys are. At least you are, Sterling, because for me, I'm not super into gore necessarily. But I'm just like, oh, okay, that looks good. Right. Like, I feel like I'm more of a amateur when it comes to that, but I thought it was good enough for me to not be like, oh, that was stupid and dumb and looked bad. I think that, honestly, maybe it's just me, and I've seen some of these actors in other things before. I don't think the acting was bad.
Wait, these people have been in other stuff outside of the bad guy? Because he's been in everything.
Oh yeah, he's in a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, I mean, these younger actors, like, I've seen a few of them in other stuff before, especially the main, like, the boyfriend guy, the main guy in the movie. He's in a bunch of, like, Hulu, Netflix shows and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, you remember that Love Victor show? It was supposed to be like a Love Simon, but like a series.
Nope.
And anyway, he was the lead in that, and he was very good.
Oh, okay. Sure.
He was in How I Met Your Father. He was in a bunch of different stuff, but I think he's good. He was in one of the Annabelle movies too. But but yeah, I've seen a few of these people. I think one of the girls was in the new Hellraiser movie. Yeah, like one of the other guy was in, like, the new Saved by the Bell. Like, they've just been in other stuff. Like,
it's really funny because I didn't bother looking up any of their IMDb's because I just assumed this was their first movie. Like, this is their only credit. So I'm like, why do I need to look up their only credit?
Right. Oddly enough, the main girl is the one that I have seen the least, but I didn't think that she was bad. Like, I don't think their performances themselves were bad. I think the material they're given to work with is worse. I think if they had something better, they could have made it better. But for what we're given here, like, I think so much of this movie could make it just like, oh, it's just one of these random B-rated horror films you find on Netflix or something. No shade to Netflix. I'm just saying they have a lot of horror movies that nobody's heard of. But I think the thing that makes it just slightly, I guess, above any other random one you would see on any streaming service is I do think they got better actors in this than they do in a lot of those other horror films that you see that are not well known. So yeah, I think that was fine. But yeah, mostly it's really just like, where are we going from here? Because this has been the speed of the movie from the beginning. And when you have just one speed the entire time, again, you just get easily bored with it, or it doesn't make you want to see it through to the end because you're just like, cool, okay, this is all I got. And then when they finally did speed it up, they rushed through some things that might have been better played out in a different way. So I just don't think it was paced well, or I guess like sectioned off in the best possible way for this movie. But that's really my biggest issue with it. I don't hate it, but I honestly mostly just don't care about it. It was very much like I walked out of it like, it's a movie. It's whatever. I'm indifferent. Like, that's my main feeling about this movie, is being very indifferent. I've seen a lot better and I've seen a lot worse. It's really just like, it's not going to be memorable in any sort of way for horror movies, for game movies, for these people's performances. Nothing about it is going to be memorable or their best. So that's my biggest takeaway from this.
Recommendations and scores.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Recommendations and score.
Keep going, Heather. Keep going.
I mean, judge me if you want, but like, I'm very middle of the road in this one. Like, again, it's not a good movie, but I didn't have a terrible time watching it. Like, it was fine enough for me to say that, like, I didn't hate this movie. And I sense the judgment happening in the area of Sterling specifically here.
Oh, I'm listening, and I do judge.
That's fine. I'm just going to speak my truth about it.
Fuck your truth. But go ahead.
It's, again, the reason I'm giving it this middle of the road score, again, is because, like, I didn't come out of it like, what the hell was this? I hate everything about it. But I also didn't come out of it really remembering a whole lot about it. I'm just like, sure, whatever. It's a movie, you know, kill a Saturday watching something random. Like, I would not recommend watching it in theaters because it's not really a good enough movie for you to want to spend your money at the theater for it. But when it comes on a streaming service, if you watch it, I'm not going to judge you for it. Just like I shouldn't be judged for not hating this movie as much as other people hate this movie. It's fine. It's okay. It's forgettable at best, but forgettable to me is better than a lot of movies that are just straight up terrible, which I know is kind of controversial because sometimes it being indifferent is worse because you're like, at least make me feel something for this movie. In this particular case for me, I didn't feel that strongly either way about it. So that's why I'm basically just giving it a straight up 50. 50 exploding bodies out of 100.
I wish I had all the connective tissue in my eyelids so they could open wide. I'm
Don't worry, I saw it.
boggled. Yeah, because my eyebrows go up. That's how you know I'm opening my eyes real wide, but my eyebrows go up.
I'm being judged and it's fine.
Why do my eyes not open wider? If you actually look at the opening of my eyes, when I raise them, it stays the same. Look, it doesn't change. I have a genetic disorder. It's not fair. You said 50?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna not feel bad about that because I don't think it was terrible. I don't think it was great. It was just fine. It was a whatever movie.
I feel bad. Jastin, what about you?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to recommend it either. Like, it's just, I mean, the problem for me is just that I just don't think it's good enough to recommend. Like, I wouldn't want anybody to have to spend money going to the theater. This is just one of those. It'll just be kind of one of those passable horror movies where it's just going to wind up on streaming. And if you catch it on there or You know, if you missed it during its small run at the theaters, because I don't imagine it'll be around long, like it'll just be there. It's just one of those bargain bin kind of streaming movies.
It should have
where
just been on
it'll-
streaming, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, it should have just come out there and it would have been fine. It's just one of those movies that tries to capitalize on the name of the video game, and but it just wasn't interested in doing anything ambitious or creatively with its allegories, with its story, or with its characters. So you just got a bunch of characters you've seen before, but just they're done better in other things. You've got a bunch of gimmicks and horror things that you've seen before, but they've just been done in better movies. Like the only thing I guess complimentary I can say about it is that the actress Ji Young Yu, the one who played Megan, she wasn't a great character or anything, but I thought she was cute. I liked her outfit. I guess I can say that much for the film. But that's all I got. Though she was getting it worse than anybody with some of these deaths. She got
Literally.
bad a lot of times.
I had that exact same thought.
So as much as I liked her, I don't know if the writer did, because man, he was
Putting her through
blowing
it.
her shit up. And her deterioration, body deterioration, was worse than everybody else's. And like the writer did not like her, but I did. You know, I thought she was cute. But anyway, no, it's not a recommend. We're gonna give it 42. Man, 42 doctors explaining absolutely nothing at all, but coining it as an explanation out of 100.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
I will not be shamed for my score.
You will be shamed for your score. The movie's bad. The story's bad. The acting's bad. The direction is bad. The cinematography is bad. The casting is bad. Every single thing about this movie is bad. The only positive thing about this movie is that you know, apparently I found out about what the actual video game is, and I'm curious to play that. So, you know, fuck this movie. It's bad. Don't recommend it in theaters. I don't recommend it on streaming. I don't recommend it if your friends ask you to watch it. If a friend asks you to watch this movie, they're not your friend. They are secretly your enemy, and they've been planning your downfall for as long as you've known them. Possibly even months before. You knowing them could be a part of their long con to ruin your life. This movie is bad in every definable and conceivable way. But I'll give it 10 points because the video game actually sounds interesting. I give it a 10. And you guys are nuts. 50 and a 40. Holy shit. I was like, man, we're going into another Snow White Minecraft world. Apparently we're not. I am. Apparently you guys weren't.
I'm just going to say I would watch this again before I watch Snow White again. And I would
don't wanna
watch
watch
this again
any
before
of it.
Minecraft. What'd you say?
I don't want to watch any of it.
No, I go with the chicken jockey.
Chicken jockey.
I'd watch that again before I watch this.
Well, just so you know,
Give me the
Jastin,
chicken jockey, brother.
Just,
Give me the chicken
just
jockey.
so you know, Jastin, you gave this a score 17 points higher than Minecraft, though.
Did I?
Yes. You gave Minecraft a 25.
I gave it that low?
Yeah.
Damn.
Heather gave it a 10.
Well, it is bad. I mean,
Yeah, I'm standing by. I don't change it. I think this movie's better than Minecraft. That's just me.
I
though.
do too, but shit, barely. You give
I like the actress, Sterling. Just let me have this. But Minecraft, I'd probably be more entertained by that than this.
You're probably also just more disappointed in Minecraft than this.
Well, Minecraft has Jack Black and Jason Momoa. I mean, I'm gonna watch that before these actors any day. Like, I mean, still, that's Jack Black and Jason Momoa. Like,
I don't want to watch any of them ever again. You're all nuts. You're all like, oh, I would prefer never to watch any of these again.
what about Freddy's? Would you watch Golden Freddy over this?
Yes, we have to watch Five Nights at Freddy 2 this year. I don't want to talk about it.
What Golden Freddy?
Justin, that movie was dog shit. Shut up.
What? It was golden.
Okay. It was golden dog shit. Is that better? Does that make you feel better?
Would it smell better or worse if it was golden dog shit?
Golden dog shit implies diarrhea, so I'm going to say worse.
Okay.
Because it's light brown, which is not a good thing. Yeah. CineScore is a 34.
That's about right.
Spoilers?
Yeah.
Yep.
Spoilers.
I know Jastin hates it when I do this, but I have to. So close to the end of this movie, when the doctor's like, oh yeah, you did this, your psychology did this. But like, what was this? Was this science? Was this magic? Was this demon? What the fuck was it? What was her psychological like problems? How was it manifesting? What was it?
How is anything? How? No explanation.
Would it have not just made just as much sense as he's like, remember when you stubbed your toe in the third grade? That's why there's that monster over there. It makes just as much sense. How the fuck is like weird self-hatred get exploding water? Like, and he's like, that's really rare. So that's happened more than once? And if that's happened, I know she put it in his coffee and that's how he blew up, but how did he get the coffee then? Because all the water's bad. So where did he get the good water to make the coffee?
Maybe from that gas station he worked at. Who knows?
Apparently he's just sitting at a gas station hoping he knows what. Does he have alarms set up? Does he know when people go in? And also, he is obviously not immune to it because he blows up. But how come none of the monsters attack him? He's walking in the tunnels with 9,000 of those Wendigos, I guess. Are they all Wendigos or are some of them zombies? Or are they zombies and Wendigos? Or is like, what is any of this?
Why do they become Wendigos? I mean, why?
He's
why
like,
do they just turn? Why would you just, why would they just turn into Wendigos?
And he's just
Why?
like, he's just like, oh.
He is not a magician.
He's just like, oh.
He is not a sorcerer.
A Wendigo.
He's a doctor.
Ultimate
Sterling.
symbol of hunger. What?
This man is a doctor. He's not a magician.
But also,
He's not an illusionist.
that's not how you make Wendigos. Wendigos are specifically
producing
cannibals.
Wendigos. And for what? Are you going to make an army? Are they going to march on the world and take over the world? Why are you making Wendigos? Why are you just baking Wendigos? Why? I don't understand any of it.
He's just like, oh yeah, the witch symbolizes that you have a complicated life with your mother. And it's like, what? Like, he's just saying shit. Like, it's just like a Rorschach test. Just like, make it, did it not sound like he's just making shit up? Like, he's like, The exploding waters whenever you feel bad that your sister ran away when your mom died. Yeah, that doesn't happen a lot in this. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, he's just babbling shit.
But
And
it's
he was sitting
also
there like shaking his head and smiling like he was spitting, like he was the best rapper alive or some shit. Just
he was
really
Dr.
spitting.
Drew in in the show. Like it's one of those where also if it's all about her psyche and what's going on with her, they made such a big emphasis on like that other girl being the one that signed that book. So it's like if it's going to be like based on, you know, this one person's psyche, line it up to where she's the one that's signing the book and that's why, you know, or something. It just all of it was very random. I agree with that.
But then also it made a big deal of that one girl being a psychic too. She got all hella possessed. Remember that scene? When she's just all possessed and pointing at posters?
Yeah.
Wasn't that cool? Pointing at posters?
Honestly, that was, I think, one of the more interesting scenes, but I'm not saying it was great.
You're saying that there is interesting scenes, and there's none. Because, like, what was it? Why did they have a ghost thing that's like trying like breaking open doors and shit just to take one of them and throw them inside a witch's house? So the thrower ghost's job is to throw them into the witch's house. Got it. And like they're making a big deal that it changes every night. Like, or you know, every night's like, oh, it's a little different. Yet that clown motherfucker's there all the time. That clown motherfucker just never leaves. Just always there. And why is he hella invincible until they remember the power of teamwork? Like, it's just like they learn their lesson and they're like, with our powers combined, we can beat Clownfuck. And then they just beat him with shit.
Captain Planet.
He's just not invulnerable because he gets hit really like 3 times in a row relatively quicker than one person hitting him 3 times. Like, what the fuck was this?
Man, shit was just happening, bro. Like, what about when Max had that bear trap trying to get it off of her? And he was like, oh, man, I can barely move this. Then when the Wendigo comes up, he just opens it all of a sudden and clamps it on the Wendigo. And I was like, where did all that strength come from? Where did all that? You couldn't even open it to save her a minute ago. You couldn't get it off her ankle a second ago. Now all of a sudden it was just, clamp. Now he can just do whatever he wants with it.
Also,
it was dumb, bro.
What was in that cave? It pulled her in and she just walked the fuck out. Like, what was in there?
I don't know.
Also, I don't think this movie knows what houses are built like. Because you remember in that scene when they're like, oh, the town sank. This is actually the first floor and this is the front door. You remember that scene? Then why is the guest book on the second floor of the visitor center? Also, why does the second floor of the visitor center have a fucking front door? It would have just gone off onto nothing. Why would you put the visitors like sign-in sheet and like in the front and a front door on the second floor? Why would you do that? That makes no sense. So it obviously was the first floor. You're all dumb. You're all dumb. It really bothered me. Also, what was the point of having that girl tied up with the Wendigo? Or whatever the fuck that was. Was that a Wendigo? I don't know what a Wendigo is. I really thought I understood what a Wendigo was. I've been very familiar with Wendigo lore for a very long time. This movie, I don't know what a Wendigo is in this movie. So the sister was a Wendigo, right?
Yes.
Was that thing that was chained to the wall that was trying to attack was that a Wendigo too? Because it wasn't the same.
Yes.
It seemed to me like every creature was the same except for the clown guy and the witch.
But her teeth were different.
Yeah.
Because she
Fair.
had the little needle teeth. And the guy on the chained wall just had regular chompies. But also, that's why I'm confused. Because I could swear when the guy calls that guy a Wendigo, he had regular teeth too. But I'm pretty sure the sister's a Wendigo.
Which also, I guess, means that the psychic girl was turning into a Wendigo, right? She was getting
Yeah, because she got one of the Sharpie teeth.
Mhm.
Yeah, she got one of the teeth.
Is that the difference? Is that the difference? Male Wendigos have regular teeth and women Wendigos have pointy teeth?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And why did they even show the witch at the end of the movie? You know, whenever they're like, oh no, the town's around us. And they look outside and like the clown and the witch is like crawling like towards them, but just never there. Never there. I just don't understand what this movie was trying to do at some point. If you ever want to watch a good horror movie with time traveling loop mechanics, go watch Happy Death Day. Pretty good. You know what? I'll be ballsy. Watch Happy Death Day to You, the sequel. It's also pretty good. It's less good, but still pretty good. You know what? This movie is dog shit. This movie is Five Nights at Freddy's. I might actually prefer Five Nights at Freddy's. At least it was a plot.
I knew it.
It was a plot, I guess.
Come on, man. It's got Golden Freddy.
No, I don't give a fuck about no Golden Freddy, Jastin. I'm just saying it at least was a plot. Like, what the fuck was this
True.
movie? Like,
Yeah.
at least in that movie, you knew animatronic things bad. I don't know what the fuck was what in this movie.
And at least the scientists could kind of, at least they explained that he could have kind of constructed it.
Yeah, but there was also
This scientist, I don't know what the hell he was doing. How could he have possibly constructed any of this? It's just happening.
But that's the thing,
This
is I
shit
don't even
happening.
think he constructed it. I think he's saying the town did this on its own. He's just living there and studying.
He's just there.
And
chilling.
how is he living there is my question. But
Yeah.
whatever.
But he gets to leave. Like, why don't the rules apply to him? It makes no sense because they do when he blows up.
Like if
Yeah,
he
they
had
do
created the
suddenly.
place, that would make sense if the rules didn't apply to him. But he didn't create the place.
But then there's another place, I guess. At the end of did you stay for the mid-credit scene, Jastin?
I saw it. And you hear his whistling ass. How is he alive after blowing up? I don't know. Sterling, I don't know. Sterling, I don't know, man.
So is this just
couldn't-
something that happens all over the world? Just little evil time bubbles that react psychologically to one of the 6 people that show up? Like, how does it choose? How did it choose her? She wasn't the first one in. She wasn't even technically in it when it started. That's why she always starts outside the bubble. Why did it choose her? And also, the movie hinted at something that would have been at least funnier. Wouldn't it have been funnier if we got to watch like the little 4-year-old just get murdered constantly real quick, like over and over again?
Oh, Sterling, you and your children dying.
Just saying. That would have been funnier. I think it would have been better if we got to see only 1 or 2 people. Like, keep it real small. If you're dead set on this they die and reset storyline, I think you cut down the number of people. Make it more interesting. Up the stakes. Have it be where somebody, like, actually, I think it'd be real cool if it's a couple and they're stuck and they're going through the loop, and then, like, say the wife is about to survive, but she knows if she survives, her husband's dead. So she kills herself to repeat the loop. Something like that.
That's more interesting.
I just think it's more interesting with less people. Because also, I just stopped caring at a certain point. Like at one point, I'm just like, oh yeah, why haven't they shown the scenes from the trailer? And then they went, oh yeah, let's show the scenes from a trailer in a montage on a video camera. The fuck was that? Like, I want to know how she died. When she had the worm come out of her face and then she was all black and scaly? I want to know how she died. Did she melt? Did she explode? How did she die? But also, how did the rest of them die from that? I want to know. I don't understand. Also, who made the wanted posters? Or missing posters, not wanted poster, missing posters. Was it the doctor? Anyway, Jastin, what you got?
No, I mean, none of that made sense at the end. And that was kind of what I was talking about with the story's just not good, man. I think the first 15 or so minutes of this movie, I thought it was all right. You're introduced to this group of people and they're looking for this person's sister who is missing, or not necessarily looking for her, just going to where she was missing, trying to find some closure. That's not a bad premise to start with. And, you're kind of getting a little into some of these characters, and they're not necessarily having bad interactions. I mean, they're just, when it was just establishing what we were doing, why we're doing it, a few of the characters, you kind of get a feel for some of their dynamics and who they are. And when we're first introduced to this and everything starts happening, I didn't think the movie was that bad. And then when it sets up kind of the premise of what's happening and everybody dies that first time, and then you see how they come back and it's like, uh-oh, we're all back. And then them kind of talking about what happened and going, okay, that first 15 or so minutes, maybe even 20 minutes, I didn't feel like it was bad when it was setting up the premise. But the problem is that once we set that up and got to the gimmick itself, we just didn't do anything creative enough. One of you said it, okay, the first time it's kind of slashery. Okay. And then we did some possession stuff. And then but it got too repetitive and it wasn't creative enough to really do anything beyond just exist until we got to the end, just scene for scene until we got to the end. One of the better scenes I actually thought was the scene where they all locked themselves up inside the bathroom. And they were like, okay, we're just going to sit here together and no one's going to leave. And we're just going to be here together and maybe we'll survive. Some of the stuff the characters were doing, I thought logically characters would do. If you were coming back and then finally you're going to go, okay, well, nobody move. Let's just get in one room and stay. I imagine a group of people would probably try that. And then even still, one of them drinks the water, but the water is killing everybody. So, they couldn't survive that way. So some of that stuff, I was like, okay, that was kind of interesting because that was different from somebody chasing us or a possession or something like that. That was a little different from anything that we had seen. But the problem, though, is that with a lot of these scenarios, though, characters are just making bad decisions. And we don't know enough about them to really understand why they're making bad decisions. Like the character says, don't let the thing in. Don't open the door and let the thing in. And then seconds later, we are opening doors and letting the thing in. Like, so sometimes it couldn't, it was hard for these characters to be compelling in any way because just when you wanted to care about them, they say something stupid or do something stupid, or one of the taller boyfriend that was just being a dick out of nowhere. It was just like, well, why are you being this way? Like, why are you talking like this? Like, they didn't tell the narrative couldn't tell the story to understand why a character would be this way in this situation, or just be an asshole, or let me just go off by myself when without anyone. Like there were just things happening that made you not like these characters, even when you wanted to like them, because it's like, well, why are you doing a thing? And if this is going to be a byproduct of somebody's mind or brain or illusions, well, and you're going to have this group of characters, well, how come we weren't seeing manifestations of all of the characters' fears? Why are we just doing it through one person? If you're doing it through all of the characters' fears and stuff like that, well, then not only does it allow you to see different things, well, now we're getting different perspectives and scenarios and things like that. And we're understanding the fear of different characters. And if this story, which I think is about facing your fear and not running from it, because that was the big resolve when everybody was like, let's stick together and face the things rather than try to run from them or try to survive or whatever. Let's go through the things. And ultimately, that's how they all survive. Well, then just make all of this stuff manifestations of everybody's fears so that everybody can have this arc, or we can overcome this as a group and it feels more earned. Saying that this is all the manifestation of one character's fears doesn't make sense for why everybody else is there. It makes everybody else less important. So I felt like this was a story that we didn't understand how to tell. Like, beyond the gimmick, we didn't know how to execute this story in any cohesive way. And that's unfortunately the hardest part about this, is that nothing lines up. We're seeing all these different things. You're seeing all these different horror elements. And that scene that you're talking about, Sterling, yeah, like some of the stuff that you saw on the camera footage, it would have been nice to see some of that stuff play out. Like the bug crawling and some of the stuff that they showed on the found footage kind of Blair Witch type shit they were doing. Like, and maybe that was the homage of that, but you're showing us more interesting scenarios in a montage that we didn't get to see play out. Maybe some of those scenarios would have been more interesting. And if this is just a manifestation of fear where you could do anything, well, then why weren't we more creative with what we were doing or what we were seeing? I mean, what was that movie where you had like the tarot? Like, why were some of the deaths more interesting in that than they were in this? You look at this movie and you look at that movie. Well, now a death by a ladder or a magician sawing you in half and all of that kind of stuff seems a little more interesting than what we did here. And based on the story you gave me, you could have done anything, but you just decided to do a lot of cliche stuff that we just seen better done in other horror movies. So that made some of that stuff disappointing. And then like you kind of talked about it, but I just wanted to reiterate, the ending of this movie is just terrible. That doctor doesn't explain shit. Like, he just goes, yeah, they're all becoming Wendigos. Well, why? It's not enough that they're becoming Wendigos. What would be the point of this? Why are you studying this? Why are you so interested in this? All we fucking got was there was this big mining accident and this town got sunk in and This doctor was there to study the people who survived. That's it, though. That's all we got. Okay, so he's studying them and they're becoming Wendigos. Well, how come the moment they became Wendigos, he wasn't like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need some backup because I don't understand why these people are becoming monsters. And let me get the hell out of here before I become a monster. But instead, he's just there, like chilling and going, yeah, this is all a manifestation of your mind. Well, why? Why is this happening? Why does this only happen when you go into a section of the forest? What's different about this section of the place where we were? What's different about that where everything's a manifestation of fear? And then why is it timed? Why is there a timer? Like if you're studying this and you just want to experiment on them, why is there even a scenario set up where they can escape? If this is all just an elaborate experiment and test and stuff like that, why is there a concoction that allows you to escape? If the whole point is just for these people to be guinea pigs, why is there a timer? Why? And if the scientist didn't set it up, who set up the fucking timer? Who's setting this up? Like, how is this set up?
But it's also real dumb when they tell you, hey, no one's lasted more than 13 times. And then they go, hey guys, this is our 13th time. Let's actually try this time, guys. Let's do it right this time. And then they all make it out unscathed. They all live on the 13th try. This movie's 13th try was my 13th reason why.
Yeah. And the sad part is that it might be the first horror movie where essentially all the characters survive. You know, if you had done this the right way, maybe that could have been a strong, powerful ending where we all survived because we all supported each other. And instead of walking out on each other, we helped each other overcome all of our fears. But it doesn't feel like any of that. It wanted to. You know, they even tried to have a scene, that strong scene at the end where they're coming out of the graveyard, and notice how everybody was helping each other get out. Everybody was purposely pulling the other one and helping each other get out. So they really thought they had this strong moment of everybody overcoming this together. But you didn't fucking have that at all though. Like, it's almost like that player that takes the basketball and dunks the ball and then fucking realizes he dunked for the other team. Like, you ran the wrong way. You dunked on the wrong rim. Like, you didn't do this right at all. But you're like celebrating like you scored some points and you didn't score shit. That's what this felt like. They thought they had it, bro, but really you did not have it. Like, at all whatsoever. So,
man, when they came at the end of this and they're like, hey, this really is all about you. You know, the Wendigos are here because, you know, you ate bad tuna once. And yeah, we got the witch here because, yeah, you dressed as a witch for Halloween and your mom hated it. And like, you know, they really thought they did something with that. They really thought they did something. And it's one of those scenes where maybe if the rest of the movie wasn't the rest of the movie, though, that scene would have worked. But I don't feel like this ending was written for this movie.
yeah. And like, if it's a scientist doing all this, why wasn't he gassing them or somehow engineering these delusions? Like it just doesn't make any sense for this all to just be happening in a space where he perfectly understands why it's all happening, but none of it makes any sense. You're dying, but you're coming back. And the point is to do this until you turn into a Wendigo. For what? I'm so mad about that. I will never stop being mad about it.
Why did
For
Pooh,
what?
Blood and Honey 2 have a better reason for their scientific experiments than this did?
Yeah. And that's sad. Like, why do you want Wendigos? Even if he said, so we can, even if he just give me something. I want a bunch of Wendigos so we can all go to Wendy's and order chicken nuggets. That would have been better than any explanation I got here because I didn't get one. I don't know why we're baking Wendigos. I don't know why we're mass producing them. I don't understand why anything is happening. Why? Why does going hungry or having a mental breakdown turn you into a Wendigo? No, you just starve. You just get worse. And wouldn't you just die? I mean, why are you becoming a Wendigo with supernatural powers? It doesn't make any sense. I starve you, you go into depression, and you become a monster with supernatural abilities. Like, what the hell is happening here? Anyway, you can go, Heather. I'm exhausted talking about it.
Yeah, I think there's a few things in this that I like. If they had been set up differently, it could have probably made the movie a lot better. Like, first off, the whole premise of why these people are out here is because they're looking for the girl's sister who went missing a year ago. Why are they not doing anything before a year? Like, it's like, why? I mean, it would have made more sense if it was like, you know what? She's been gone for a year. I've accepted that she's gone. I just want to, feel close to her by going to the last place she was before she went missing. Something like that would have been a better reason why they were there than just, she's been gone a year. I need answers now. Like, why do you need answers a year later? It just was a really bad setup for why they were there a year after the other girl went missing, and I just think that they could have had a better way to set up why these people are here in the first place. And then also something that I thought was on purpose, but apparently was not. The character Nina, the one who kept writing her name in the book, you don't really see her die that much. You don't really see her death a lot. Like, you see her explode when she drinks the water, and then you see like bleeding from her eyes in that video montage that they do. That's all you see. Any other time that she's going to die, it cuts away. I thought that was because at the end of it, it was going to like incorporate that she's part of something here or something with her because of the fact that we never see her die. I don't know why that was a thing. Maybe they were like, oh, we got to cut some scenes, and it just happened to be her scenes of dying that they had to cut. But I just think that was weird because they don't really even out these killings well. Because also, like you mentioned, Jastin, the psychic girl, she got the craziest brunt of all of this. Like, she's got like exploding legs before she explodes altogether. Like, it lingers, almost like this Spider-Man situation in Endgame. Like, why is hers just lasting so much longer for no reason? And then she gets the most worn out. She's the most damaged when she comes back every time. Like, and her deaths just last longer. She's more tortured than the others. And I don't know if it's supposed to play into the fact that because she's psychic, she feels things more, or if it's really just they're not evening it out, which is more likely the case. Because you give her so much more than even the main characters. And the other girl, you don't really ever even show her dying. So why did we even it out or divvy it up the way we did in this movie? You know what I mean?
So yeah, why wasn't that stuff happening to the main character? If the point is to root for her and this is all a manifestation of her fears and everything, I think it would have had much more of an impact if more of that horrible stuff was happening to her. Because, dude, it downright had me. Like, I was sitting there going, does this person and this is weird to say, but I was like, does this person who wrote this hate Asians or something? Like, why is the Asian girl getting it the worst?
I think based on what the movie told me, subconsciously, our main character hates Asians and or at least that friend.
I know, right? I know, right? Because she was just getting it bad. And that actually would have been badass if it came all the way back to the end and you found out that, oh, the reason why she was getting it worse is because she has some sort of, strong feelings against her or something. But, we weren't doing any nuanced writing about that.
Like she fucked that boyfriend after they broke up.
Yeah. And she knew about it. She found a note or something and never told them about it because then her sister went missing. So she didn't bring it up, but she always knew about him, and never said anything. And maybe that's why. But dude, that Asian girl was getting it bad. I mean, she got her face slammed repeatedly against the floor or whatever till death. Then, like Heather was talking about, legs or the arms blown off, and then her stomach bubbled up, like almost looked like she was pregnant, but then it exploded. Like she was getting it bad, bro. Like lingering, painful as deaths. And I was like, why? And it just never made logical sense. Or like when she got tackled through the ceiling or whatever and then drug off and was captured, which was also stupid because like the timer went away, but she was still captured. Like, wouldn't she have lived? Like, if she wasn't killed, wouldn't she have lived?
Yeah.
So, what the fuck? It doesn't even follow its own rules. But sorry, not to step on your section, Heather, but yeah, that just made me think of it. But the bigger point was that shit should have been happening to the main character, not Megan.
I like how Jastin goes, this shit didn't even follow its own rules. Jastin, what were the rules, Jastin? What were they? Can you actually tell me the rules? Because I don't think they really were there.
Well, damn, the one that you set up, you didn't follow it, which is when the sand runs out and you're alive, you live.
To me.
Well, she lived. She was captured and just sitting there in that lab. And the sand ran out. They all came back to life and then said, nope, let's get out of here and let's go find her. Well, wouldn't the game technically have been over? They would have died. The sand would have went down. She would have lived because she was just captured. She wasn't killed.
See, Jastin, you're playing like that's the amateur rule set. You don't realize this movie is playing by professional rules where one person can live and reset. But as long as everybody lives the next reset, then it counts. But if not everybody lives, then it doesn't count. It's like a sudden death. Like in football in the playoffs, like playoff overtime changes. It's that.
Yeah, I mean, and even with the other girl, where it didn't really show her dying very much. Like, I think that's why I was disappointed in that, because I was like, if that had been for a reason, that would have worked better. Like, it shows, because she is the only one who had her name written in there. She was the one who first wrote her name. It's actually all based off of her and not this girl. You think it's, or something like that. It would have made more sense, like why they made the choices they did on showing these deaths and the way people are dying, because every time it's almost like her boyfriend is killed and she finds him and it cuts away. Her boyfriend is killed in the car and the guy's standing in front of her and it cuts away. She stabbed the guy. She stabbed her boyfriend and he's almost dying. The guy comes and she says, "Oh, kill him first," and it cuts away. Like, why did it do that? I was starting to get suspicious of this girl for no reason because of how they set up this movie. Like, there was just no need for it. So I'm just confused why they made those choices. You know what I mean? And I think also the whole thing of her boyfriend being a dick, they really forced that, I think, because he actually, before it got to the point where he was telling her, yeah, go find your sister. And if you die, we just start over. Before it got to that point, I actually think that he had logical reasons for what he was saying. Like, he felt like, I guess maybe it's more, he felt like the most realistic person in the scenario, where he was just like, no, like, let's get out of here. Like, and even telling his girlfriend, you and me got to go get help. Like, I know that you don't want to leave your friends here, but we got to go do something. Like, and I want you and me to like make it out of here. Let's go find help. Like, I'm not saying everything he did was the best. And yes, he turned into a dick later, but I just think that they forced that because they want, like, for whatever reason, they needed that to be the trope because he was the outsider boyfriend that had no other connection to these people. But they didn't need to do that because also they kind of very quickly take that away again too, because he ends up surviving. He ends up being like, hey guys, I got the car. Let's get out of here. And kind of being a part of them like everybody else and everybody helping everybody in that last scene. So I just don't know why they needed to force that in there for no reason. Because before that, he was a perfectly fine and logical person in the movie. He just wasn't one of their connected friends. You know what I mean? So
Also, I know that he got resurrected and everything, but doesn't he have every right to be pissed at her for fucking stabbing him?
exactly. And I was like, I actually think that she's the dick. Because she was like, listen, you want my friends to die, so I'm just going to kill you. And then when the dude comes, she's like, kill him first. Like, was it because he was already dying? Like, why did she even need to say that?
Because regardless of anything, she put him through so much time of pain. She literally tortured that man with a mortal wound just because she's like, he's not going to die. Well, you know, he'll come back, whatever. But like, you're still putting that man through potentially hours of torture.
Yeah.
Because this movie is from Until Dawn. I don't is dawn 20 minutes from when they wake up? I don't know. When do they wake up? 6 a.m.?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's like, it's one of those where I understand that she was like, no, these are my friends and I'm more connected to them. So if anybody's going to die, it's going to be you, outsider, because it's not going to be the rest of my friends who are my family. But I'm like, that's still a really dick move of her to be like, cool, well, then I'm just going to kill you because otherwise you're going to get all my friends killed. I'm like, not necessarily. Like, I get that that's what they were trying to say towards the end, maybe to more justify why she did that. But it didn't line up for me because, yeah, it was not great of him to be like, yeah, go try to find your sister. And yeah, if you die, it's fine because we'll just start over. Like, that sucks. You know, you don't want to be like, I'm sacrificing you because, and then for him to just go back and be like, I didn't think she was actually going to do it. I was like, yeah, you did. You did think she was. That's, you thought that she was the most likely option of somebody who would do it. And that's why you said it. Let's be real about that. You didn't need to take it back. But I just think that she was making it out for everybody like he was just this horrible person. And I'm like, you're the one who stabbed him, though. Like, you sacrificed him because you were afraid he might sacrifice everybody else. Essentially, you sacrificed him because he just wanted to get the hell out of there. Like, it was strange to me. I didn't like that setup because it didn't play for me the way that they wanted it to. Yeah, I don't know. It was just very strange. But also, like, the whole thing about the water making them explode, you're right. Like, why could he drink coffee? Like, where did he get that from? But also, it was also that convenience of, like, how long it would take the water to kill you. Because it's like, in that first scene when it happens, it's just like, it takes longer for some people than it does for others and all of this. But then in every other moment when you need that person to explode right then, they do. Like when the boyfriend Max is like, all right, well, then I guess I got to die too. Let me drink this water so we can all start over. Immediately, almost, he's dead. And even with Dr. Hill, immediately when he's about to come for her, that's when he explodes. It's like convenience water explosion. It's very strange. And also very anticlimactic interaction and confrontation with Dr. Hill. Like, it was like, let me talk to you in circles here while you like clearly can put water in my drink. And then he's done with his whole spiel, and then he drinks and he's done. Like, it was just a very anticlimactic interaction and confrontation between them. And it was just very odd. But at that point too, unfortunately, you're like, cool, it's the end of the movie. Yeah, just kill him. We know he's got to die. Just do it now, because we're done now with this movie. It's about ready to be over. Like, that's just kind of how this movie feels for most of it. And like, kind of like what you guys mentioned, where a lot of the stuff you see in the trailers, it's in just one montage of stuff happening. And that's what I kind of alluded to when I was saying, the way they pace it is like they take their time at the beginning. Like the first few days they focus so much on, and then they just speed through the rest of these days after you feel like, okay, at this point, they've probably learned a lot more information of how to try to make it out. They started recording things, and like, there's just that would have been the more interesting days to like see play out for a longer period of time. And they just really should have done that in a better way than they did it as well. And like there was also the whole thing of the two main characters that were like exes. She kept telling him like, no, you have to kill me. And then we got to start over. And I'm like, why don't, like, I guess I just didn't understand why she was like, no, you do me first, like kill me first. Because the way that that guy was, he was real hesitant for killing her. So I'm just like, I feel like it would have made more sense if their dynamic was like, let's kill each other so that we both are done at the same time or whatever it is, because I almost wouldn't have trusted the guy to do it, because he just, every time she wanted him to kill her, he was like, and I can't do it. Or just like, okay, let's kill ourselves then and not each other, because obviously you're not going to want to kill me. And you know what I mean? Like, they should have just done that better. I don't know. Like, and then, I don't know. I feel like just that relationship, they make it feel like it's going to be a lot more of an important storyline in this whole movie, and it's not. Any type of conversations that this friend group has before it gets to Dawn or whatever is like, it means nothing, because right before they even get to that town or whatever, and they're talking about like the one girl who she always needs to be with somebody and doesn't feel like ever being alone, and the girl who's like grieving and trying to still find her sister. You feel like there's certain character elements that they focus in on for just a few minutes, and then it doesn't matter for any other part of the movie. Even for the whole main girl, like, oh, because of your psyche and how things are, that's why you're seeing what you're seeing, or that's why these things are happening. You don't feel like any part of the story you get of her before that warrants that being what the focus of his experiment is. So yeah, I don't know. It just, all of those things don't line up, and it's confusing. And it also ends very abruptly, because it's just like, okay, cool, we made it out. All right, guys, let's get out of here. And it's done. They don't follow up on anything else. Like, it's done. Like, you get a buildup of who these characters are before they go into this game. But then by the end of it, there's just like, all right, cool, we're all alive. Bye. Roll credits. And it's it. It's just the way they pace it and piece out the story is really the biggest flaw of this film for me.
I don't know what you want, Heather. This movie's called Until Dawn. Why were you expecting a single thing after Dawn?
You know what? That's on me. You're right.
That's the sequel, After Dawn.
After Dawn, yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. There's those things that if they had paced this out better, or evened out how people were killed better, or even just brought in like story setup better, it had potential to be a lot better than it was.
Oh no, that sounds like a lot of complaints considering you gave it a 50. But whatever.
You know, and that's fair.
Whatever.
I'm talking about all the negatives, but I'm still not going to sit here and say that, like, I hated the movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. It was still just a whatever, all right movie. If it was something that I had first seen on like a streaming service and I was like, oh, what's this random horror movie? Honestly, of those, it probably would have been one of the better ones on like those B-rated horror films. So I've seen worse. I'm just saying.
And did they not go get the police or try to get somebody? Like, how come there's just another car pulling up and you hear that Dr. Hash Brown, or what was his name?
Well, to be fair, Jastin, that's a different location.
Was it?
Yeah.
Where was it then?
I don't know. It was in Snowsville. I just know it was snow and it was a cabin. It wasn't the same building. That's all I know. I don't know anything else.
You know how different buildings and shit like that would appear. I thought on those security cameras, I saw some familiar buildings. I don't know.
To be fair, Jastin, you also could be 100% accurate. I don't fucking know.
Because shit was just appearing. Remember how they were like, that house wasn't there last time? You know, like,
why would they just burn that place down? Like, why didn't they do that? Why didn't they just go burn down the building? They just burned down
and
the
whose
whole
perspective are we seeing? Is the doctor in an infinite loop?
Yeah.
Is that why he was able to blow up and come back and shit?
Oh no. Is his story until dusk?
Oh Lord.
I see what you did there.
He's just trapped in an infinite loop of until dusks.
Also, why was there a random like video of somebody having sex when he was trying to like watch the video of what this like what they need to do to survive?
What?
Like when the guy put in the VHS, you remember?
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
Shit.
And they were like, it was the doctor like showing.
You don't remember?
Yeah, it was like the doctor showing what was going to happen. And then before that, he put in a tape and it was people having sex. And the guy said, oh, do you want us to leave you alone or something like that? And he's like, shut up. And he put in a different tape. You don't remember that?
No,
You don't remember that, Sterling?
No.
Yeah. It was just the most random thing. And I'm like, we don't need that in this movie. Because
It was
like
a riot.
it
You
doesn't
didn't laugh at that, Sterling? I thought you laughed at that and went, oh, this is a riot.
this movie's hilarious.
No.
You didn't think that was a riot?
I didn't remember it.
Because I'm like, why would you have people in this world?
I was
Like-
legit confused. I was like, I thought you were talking about the end of the movie, like when it's all showing that car pull up. I thought that you were talking about there was somebody having sex on that. And then when you like started describing it, I was like, oh, I guess she's talking about at the end of the movie, not the mid credit, but like, you know, when they're all like, oh, look, he's been watching us. I thought you were talking about the doctor had porn on the television then too. And then you're all, I just kept thinking of all these scenes other than the one you were talking about. I was like, I guess I just didn't see the porn screen. I still don't have any nothing of what you just said sounds familiar whatsoever. Outside of, I guess, the video where, because that's the video where he goes, oh, look, a Wendigo. Ultimate hunger or whatever the fuck he said.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that part. I don't remember no fucking video. Like, where was I for the fucking video?
The VHS
It was literally right before he popped that tape in. But it just was like, why in general would there be anybody in this world they're in like having sex? Like, why would this video be here?
Well, because
like what?
the argument, I guess, would be that maybe that was like just porn from before the town went under. Like, it was just somebody's porn video. I would
Maybe,
assume.
fair.
Or it was Dr. Hash. I mean, it had to be Doctor.
I mean,
It had to be Doctor.
he's got to do something in between days of people being murdered. Like,
Yeah, right.
It was him and one of the Wendigos. The
It's
one that
almost
he
like
thinks
they
is
wanted
cute.
this. Like this
wait,
was like
did it show the sex?
No, you just hear it.
Oh,
It's almost
that's
like they.
honestly, that's probably why I don't remember it. I didn't actually see any fucking.
You just
I
heard
ain't
it.
gonna
Yeah.
remember. I ain't gonna remember no fake porn sounds. I'd remember fucking. See, that's why.
Yeah.
Now it tracks.
I feel like this movie, like, it was a really, really extremely bad version of Cabin in the Woods. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, well, if they're not going to try to go anywhere, we got to find some way to force them out and to do something. And that's why they explode. Like, it feels like they were just like, okay, well, they survived that. Now they got to survive this other thing. We're going to make another thing happen in this area they're in. It felt like they were trying to do a Cabin in the Woods thing, but in a far less entertaining way.
Anyway.
And if you're going to have the deaths, I don't know. This might have worked better with some sort of comedic dressing to it. Like,
yeah, but it was all one
note. So then
note.
we could see them dying in hilarious ways, at least, and commenting on it. And maybe if it was sort of like a satire and, you know, you have these characters trying to do all this stuff and it's almost Wile E. Coyote-like with the devs and shit and trying to do something and not working and coming back.
Which is exactly what Happy Death Day does, where at some points you see her and she's like, all right, they got to die again. And then it's just like in funnier ways where she's just like embracing it more. Yes, that's exactly. Take notes from Happy Death Day, take notes from Cabin in the Woods, like do this in a way that is way more captivating than how you did it.
Yeah. Or like, what was it on Jumanji? Like when they would die, didn't one time The Rock throw one of them off a cliff or something, and then he was like, man, dude, that was my third life or something like that. You know, I don't know. Like,
he just threw him because he was mad at him. And then he came back and they were still fighting. Yeah.
And he killed them. So like, I think if you weren't trying to take this so seriously, and maybe if it had been something more comedic, maybe then you could have had fun with it and we wouldn't have needed all the logical explanations or, you know, why are Wendigos, you know, you could have had, the doctor could have just been like, I don't know, why are you here, bitch? And, you know, like if it was a comedy, maybe you could have gotten away with just some of the pure illogical silliness of it. And maybe you could have played into it and it could have been something more comedic.
This is where a character like the Nate Spider-Man, what's his name? Ned, the Ned guy that was in Tarot. This is where a character like him, maybe he would have benefited more being in a movie like this.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe it would have been funnier. I don't know.
Do you not remember Tarot? No. Bad. So bad.
No, I'm just saying, like, maybe he would have been funny if it was in this.
I think what they should have done is I think maybe the first half hour it should have just been a bunch of other people dying. And I think you don't give it unlimited lives. I think you just have a bunch of people going there and dying. And you just keep seeing a bunch of deaths for 30 minutes. Just for 30 minutes, it's just people dying and you don't know why. 30 minutes of people dying. And then I think you get to this group getting there, and I think you have them kind of unsolving the mystery, and I think you slow play it a little bit, have them kind of figure out the mystery, but then one of them dies, have a throwaway character, but then have the rest kind of play it like the video game, like where they got to solve the mystery, and whoever makes it at the end is at the end. Like, don't have all this other bullshit. Just have it like you get trapped. You do get trapped. Have it be a bubble, whatever. You get trapped, but it's one night. Live or die. And like I said, just 30 minutes of just people dying, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? You get no backstory. It's just like Bob and Sue Ellen in the 1940s, and they just get murdered by a Wendigo. And then you've got, you know, this other person, and the witch is just, you could have all these things where like the witch is doing the thing and they're killing people. And then, you know, the clown guy's killing people and people are drinking water and exploding. Do all that shit. But like, then get down to the core group and just do it. Then have the, like I said, it be the video game. Combine the ideas a little bit, something. But also, like, do you remember that giant thing in this forest? What was that?
Yeah, what was it? We don't know.
There's just a giant in the forest. So what's the point of the bubble if you can still leave? Yeah. Like, you can leave. Is that giant going to follow you all over the world?
It follows you. The one on the tape having sex that you missed, Sterling. If you had heard,
you know what? I probably would have liked this movie if I got to see some giant fucking.
When to go?
I don't know. For all I know, I can have a Jolly Green Giant
King. Do it, but
I don't know. Anyway, anything else, guys?
No, please no.
On that note, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. Check us out on the internet, www.cinemaslayers.com. Cinema Slayers podcast on Facebook, Cinema_Slayers on Threads, Instagram, and Letterboxd. We are at Cinema Slayers Pod on TikTok and YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Really appreciate it. Really help us out. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' family, tell your family's friends. And most of all, tell those dear sweet mothers, because dear sweet mothers love nothing.
Giant
Nothing.
sex?
It's nothing. They don't like anything
Okay.
in this fucking movie.
Sure.
Giant sex. I like giant. They like it. They like giant sex, sir. They like it.
But we don't know if it was giant sex, so we can't say it.
Oh.
Just saying. I don't want to get sued for promising giant sex, and it's not there. Gotta play it safe. Shout out to Plug Migo and Mundo Ochoa for our theme song and logos, respectively. We are the Cinema Slayers podcast, or Pro Slut, Pro Sydney, Pro Naked, and Pro Steak Fingers. You. Yes, you, Cinefans, you are Knuff. Justice for Chris. Hopefully this might be the last time I have to say that. If Chris gets justice, we're good. We just need the justice.
You're making me want to watch that episode. I gotta get it in this weekend.
Hey, by next episode, let's all agree to watch it to see if I gotta say it. Chris might got his justice.
Okay.
But just for Chris, justice for Todd. Todd's never getting justice.
Never.
I don't even remember why we're asking justice for him, but that motherfucker ain't getting it.
Kong
because
X.
Todd had a better idea for the Kong movie,
Yeah.
and nobody listened to him.
Nobody listened to it.
That poor Todd. We have to wait for a whole other Kong movie to see if Todd gets justice.
Right.
Yes.
We're so fucked. I'm so sorry, Todd. Oh, justice for Chris, justice for Todd, justice for all those wonderful stunt people, animators, and caterers out there that make all our movie going dreams possible. Hey, maybe next year I get to stop saying justice for stunt people.
Yep.
Once one of those motherfuckers gets that Academy Award,
Yep.
we get to say, we get to give them their props. Man, for so long we've been clamoring justice for Chris.
Out here doing the Lord's work. It's finally going to happen.
He might be getting that justice. But God, we got to wait for another Kong for Todd. Oh my God, Todd. I'm so sorry, my man. Oh, Todd. God, I'm going to be saying justice for Todd till the day I die.
It's possible.
Until they reboot the franchise. That might be the earliest I get to say justice for. We can stop justice for Todd is when they reboot that shit finally.
That might have to be on your gravestone, man. Only me and Heather would know.
Justice for Todd.
Everybody think, oh, Todd must have been a real big part of his family, his life, his friendship. Oh, I'm sure Todd.
Nope, Sterling just requested on his
deserved.
gravestone that we still say justice for Todd because it never happened in his lifetime.
That poor motherfucker. Oh. Oh, and as I always end the YouTubes, the TikToks, and most importantly, this podcast, according to Jastin, Moon Knight is a Best Picture winner.
I'm not going to lie. And see, this is why I needed to be a comedy, because if they were walking in there forest, the two giants were having sex, and they were killed by the giants. Having sex? Come on, Sterling. You would have given it a few more points for that. Come on.
Funny enough, that just reminds me, even if they don't get killed by it, but they just walk up and see it, and the giants get mad because they get interrupted, I would have been fine. Because in the video game Baldur's Gate, near one of the towns, there's this barn. And you hear a bunch of noises in the barn. You go up to it, and it's like, you hear like a clamorous of, calamity inside. And it's like, should you open the door? And it's all, some of your teammates are like, don't do it. And you get to choose. And if you open the door, there's a gigantic troll woman getting fucked by a bugbear, which is a type of goblin. And like troll woman, like 10 feet tall, bugbear's like 5. And yeah, just getting railed. And she gets so mad. And one of the dialogues you could say is like, hey, looks fun. Can I join? Or something like that. And it just gets mad. But pretty much no matter what you fight, you end up having a fight, you know. But it just kind of, that kind of reminds me of that whole thing. Like they're just trying to escape and the giants are sitting there fucking. And it's just like, it's you assholes, you interrupted. Now we got to kill you.
Then you see the hand comes down, splat. All right, on to the next life. You know?
But like, what lazy ass CGI was that too? It's just a shadow thing with some green eyes. And they're like, oh no. The sad thing is I think this movie only cost like $15 million. We might get a sequel. Let's see. Let's do some quick research here.
Maybe it'll come out at the same time as Freddy's 2. Then we can have a creature feature full of fear factor.
Nice.
All right, so this movie so far worldwide has made $20 million. And the budget was around 15. So it's needs 10 more. 10 more to fuck, man. Fuck.
Uh-oh.
We might be getting a sequel.
Yeah, we might be getting another one, man.
Because even if it gets close and it just does some decent streaming numbers, we might at least get the sequel on Netflix. Ain't that some bullshit? Oh, man. Anyway, all right. By next week, remember, we need to find out if Chris gets his justice. And Thunderbolts. Asterisk. Is the asterisk whether or not Chris gets justice?
It is now. Yeah.
Food for thought. Anything else? I'm done. You guys done? We done? All right.
Yep.
We
Done.